Sorry, looks like I have myself muted. Let me start over. I forgot to hit the mute button, guys. All right, so we had a Friday. We had the volume come through. Unusual activity, the largest amount of activity in the history come through. Started the push off of the basing that we had from the 19th. We had the pullback that came down to that billion print that happened on Friday. We had during pre-market, and we had the nice bounce off of that level. This has created a nice harmonic pattern here. At the same point, we have the we had going in on Friday close, because during the day we were having the 297.89 level just flowing through. That's where all the traffic's coming, the heavy amount, the 168 prints coming through. Then at the close, we started getting the 295.45. We have 45 prints after the close on Friday. Continuing into the Monday session, we had another 60 prints come through at 295.45 area for the continuation push. Once we got that nice pop, we got our 38% retracement off of the big pullback from the 19th. We got our first price target that we've hit. After the close yesterday, we started getting a few prints coming in at the 309 level flat. And this is where we're sandwiched in basically right now, between the 309 and the 38%. We're in this sideways range-bound grind. We're accumulating right now. Now we're still holding trend. Secondary price target zone is 318. 61% is why we're choosing that number off of the normal pull. That's the golden ratio on the Febs. That's usually a good spot. We have not hit 50% yet. Thursday or Wednesday afternoon, we had a huge amount of traffic come in also on the downside move, pushing us back on the 26th at 311.5. Give or take a few change. We had some in between, but the average is 311.50. We're looking for more or less a push past the 309 to the 311. We're going to have some resistance there. We're also getting very, very close to the 50% level off of that point. I think we're going to have some overhead resistance at this area. I would love to see it go all the way up to the 61, pull back, we get a nice gap with the Fed, talking about interest rates. The market's kind of assuming they're going to do this quickly before their next meeting on the 17th or 18th of this month. There's some sort of blackout period that's happening with the Feds where they're not going to be discussing or talking publicly and stuff about stuff. I guess they're going behind closed doors to discuss some stuff on Friday. So they're talking that possibly something could happen before Friday. If not, we could see some sort of reaction if they don't respond before that. So we don't really know what's going to happen in the next week when it really comes to when the Fed is going to make a decision to do what they're going to do. A lot of people are wanting them to go ahead and wait until their normal meetings. Other people are thinking that we need to aggressively tackle this head on. Either way, we're in a sideways grind in pre-market. We have not gained anything. We have not really lost anything off of pretty much this range. We really need this thing to... We were looking for the pullback, but in order for have continuation, we need this little pressure buildup for the next level of a pop. Any pullback is a strong move. We can still get a pullback all the way back down to the 23 and test. It's still doable for the bounce. It's nothing saying we cannot not get that. Just because we're at this level and it becomes, oh, this is a failure, we're not going to make it up to here or make it to basically the major resistance level of 311 for a test. It's still a very doable cause even on a pullback. So be cautious on any pullbacks. If we start snapping the 38, look for more or less a pullback to around 300, maybe back to that huge print at 297, right around that area for it to start curling back. We wind up breaking through the 309 level. We'll hit the 311. 311 is going to be a problem because it's a lot of transactions happen at that point. We're at 50% ratio. We're going to have a little bit of a difficulty breaking through this level in order to get to the next leg. We're now where the easy money is pretty much over. Now we're playing with a lot more complicated entries and exits. You have to be very cautious on it. If you're way into the money, there's no reason to get out yet. if you're still holding from what we were talking about on Friday. But at the same point, if you're trying to get into it because you're late to the game, be very cautious at this point, because right now we're at that point where we could pull back before we have our next impulse leg up. We are more or less on our fifth wave. We need to start looking for an ABC off of an Elliott. We've got a harmonic that is trying to be pushed, but this is more of a spirited harmonic. This number is not a perfect harmonic pattern. We've got a nice A to B and C, but our C, the D leg, to get 61% is not exactly right. It actually should go a little bit further. I'm not really expecting the market to go that much further, just because, you know, we've gone so crazy. Don't expect massive movements in a quick matter at this. So be somewhat cautious when it comes to the activity today. This is Super Tuesday, which could be where we could just have a consolidation day out of this, because tomorrow we're not going to have the results till late tonight. Tomorrow the futures will be playing around. Tomorrow we'll have more or less a reaction to what happens off of who is going to be the lead runner inside of off of Super Tuesday. So that could play into some of the market also on there. Now let's get to earnings. We've got Target. We've got a light beat on EPS. We've got a inline on their revenue. Their guidance is just going to be in line going to the next quarter. Next year is going to be above consensus on the EPS. So pretty much a light win, you could say. Not a massive great report, but at the same time, it's better, I believe, than what we had last to go around and stuff. And with the virus going on and stuff, they're one of the stores that are doing the deliveries and doing that's where you drive up and they just load your car up with whatever you ordered, which is going very well for them. So it will help them out somewhat on that. Between them and Walmart, they're going to be probably the go-to when it comes to, you know, outbreak issues. They're going to kind of help a little bit. Now, they also do buy a lot of China products that can be somewhat affected to it. So we don't have any negative guidance that's going to take us down. We're just looking at a continuation push. We can see Target can push back up to about 311. That's going to be some structure area from the past that we can look for it off of it. We had a pullback off of that level and down to the 50 before. We're looking for more or less the push back up to that 38 level. Off of the retracement zone, we're already past the 23. So we have more room to run up. So I'm looking at more or less a target for about a 311. Look for a little bit of a curl off of that. If I type the ticker in, right? Tilray. We have a pretty large miss on EPS. We have a miss on revenue. Do not have further guidance at this point. But pretty much there's nothing good happening here with Tilray. The whole pot sector is pretty much taking a hit. We've got downgrade with CRON, Cron, and we've CGC's taking a hit also off of this report. Real is kind of expecting, you know, going into this month that we may start seeing the pot sector stir back up, going into a new election year, that maybe we would start seeing some sort of activity, you know, with some more legalization getting thrown on the ballot for November. Not really hearing anything coming across the wires about that, surprisingly. Maybe they're going to kick the can down the road a little bit. We're really at the point with the pot sector, until we start getting it back on the ballot again, like we've had in, you know, the past. I don't think we've got much of a sign of any recovery happening anytime soon. So more or less, just look at 13 as being the hold right now for Tilray. Start breaking that, and you can just continue taking it down. Kohl's, we have a pretty decent beat on our EPS, and we have inline revenue. We're guiding EPS lower going into next year. Don't have revenue for next year, just EPS. That is more or less a neutral play because we got somewhat of a decent EPS report, but we're saying next year is going to suck. So pull back, kind of sideways grind. 40 is the key area, just over under on 40 off of that level. This is more of like a neutral report than anything else. Market starts pulling back, expect this one to take a nice knee-jerk reaction with that also, with that type of news. I'd like to see a little bit more pullback into the open before it even tries to make any more attempts on the higher side of it. This one has the ability to start moving up to the 42 and higher level off of some bounces, but it needs a little bit more of a pullback before we should take that place. Weight Watchers, WW. City has given this a nice upgrade to a buy and given a 37 PT where we got some action happening here in pre-market. 30 has been a key level for Weight Watchers for some time. We're now taking it as a launching pad. We have very light algo traffic happening here. I'd like to have this come back and kind of reset at the open and look for a continuation push back up to the City being on top of this thing, and this should help it, barring we don't have any major pullbacks in the market. We have more upside in the market, then Weight Watchers should have continuation push off of those levels there. 32 is going to be a little bit of an issue with it, with some overhead resistance, but we can get a pullback, reset, and start pushing, look for more of a continuation push, higher levels than 32. We can actually start seeing it push up into the 35 zone with enough volume off of it, but that would take quite a bit of pressure off, and Weight Watchers has been kind of light in its volume recently. Autozone taking a hit. They beat their EPS very well, but they missed on their revenues, and what's killing them is that their comp sales is down. So got a light pullback with algo and stuff. I'd like to see the bounce back up to at least into the 1,000 area before we get a nice reset. This thing has a hell of a volatility in it, but I want to pull back before I'd even consider trying to take it down any lower, because once it penetrated 1,000, this is getting kind of almost into a death type of drop. So look for a pullback at the open, reset for any type of position of a short off of it. It's more of a mixed report than anything else. The comps is what's killing it, but they did realize they did knock it out of the park on the EPS side. Wi-Fi. Missed slightly on EPS. They missed on their revenue. Do not have guidance off of it. This is a former runner. We've got a nice pop and a pullback. I'd like to see more pullback at the open and a continuation. I'd like to see a bullish Aramid come out of this pre-market action. Light enough traffic that we should be able to get that pullback back to basically where we kind of closed over here. Previous level down here around the 1260-ish area, and then look for a continuation push back up off of it. It is a miss, and it should come down off of it, but because of the former runner side of it, it's going to have some price action movements inside of it. Uber is disclosing the potential problem with the coronavirus and a 10K filing that they reported, being a little bit upfront. Notice a lot of the stocks that are reporting problems with guidance or anything are actually going up. Majority of them across the board. It's like, okay, honesty pays, I guess, but more or less it's usually you would expect, hey, you're going to guide lower, let's take you down, but we're getting the complete opposite effect. So be very cautious on any of these companies that are coming out with stating that they're going to take a hit with the virus, because it seems that we're getting the complete opposite reaction that you would normally expect off of a negative guidance updates and everything. So Uber is continuing its grind up here. I remember we had price target zones for Uber back into the $50 range about a few weeks ago and stuff. This should stabilize back where it is and pull back a little bit. I look at Uber as turning into more of a neutral play until we kind of get past this, because they are going to take a pretty big hit if we start having a big outbreak across the country. SE, we got a huge miss on our EPS and we beat on our revenues. Very mixed report, no guidance off of it. We are holding trend and not breaking down the trend. So look for a pullback off of back to the trend area. 50 needs to be more or less the basing over under on it. Just play that type of price action off of it and just play the price action in general with it. If you can get it to stabilize over 50, it's game on. If we break below 50, that would be considered the pullback short positioning at it. AMD, we got Piper's giving it a nice upgrade from a neutral to an overweight, which is what we kind of been needing to see from AMD, because we've been stabilized at this 50 zone for a while. They're raising their PT to 56. So AMD is taking a real nice continuation push. Remember, AMD is heavily algo traded on here. When the market moves around, it will somewhat follow suit. But at the same time, because with this upgrade, we can look at AMD being on its own merits today. Look for a $50 push. We're going to have a little bit of issue getting through that, so we're going to be that kind of over under $50 range off of it. So look for, I'd like to see a pullback at the open before we see any continuation, but right now it's trying to hold this upward trend since the announcement. QRVO, we have a lower revenue due to the virus. Once again, another stock coming out saying that we're going to lower our guidance, and we're going up. So keep a close eye on this one. This one has range in it, quite a bit of range. I'd like to see it reset. Got a little bit of algo traffic happening here. Look for it to reset back to around 100 or so and start paying attention to the price action off of it. Tesla, this one's going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one, guys. So we've already been talking about it. We were calling out yesterday the 738 level for the PT zone, into the call. We hit that thing perfect around noon yesterday. Okay, then we were talking about having continuation up to the 800 area because of the 61%. We hit that today, and we're bouncing off of it. So these are a bunch of old lines from yesterday. We can just get rid of those until I play Tesla way too much. At this point, because we're hitting the 61, we've also got a upgrade from a market perform to an outperform to a market perform from JMP to 1060. Okay, analyst with this is usually not enough to really fire it up, but since we are basically changing directions, let's go out to here and let's look at the bigger picture of the pull. We had a beautiful pullback and a pop back up. If I go to an hour, be a little bit area. We got a beautiful pullback and we're popping back up 61%. I want to start seeing a nice pattern developing here. We're at that point at 61. We're hitting the 200 on the hourly chart. I'd like to see a nice pullback for another reset for a beautiful harmonic pattern to start developing here. I'm not expecting this thing to go up to their crazy 1060 at this point. 1060, yeah, I think by the summer, barring we don't have any more problems with the market tanking, Tesla could be way over 1,000 by the summer. We've seen a lot of calls coming in going into the summer for plus 1,000 up to 1,800 for Tesla with calls coming in. Of course, a lot of that stuff is hedging that's going on, but still, we've seen a lot of traffic coming in from the institutions on the call side for Tesla to continue up. It's just a longer term portfolio that they're putting together. But I'd love to see this thing just pull back. We're at the 61 at this point. Just give us a nice pullback and continuation. Doesn't have to stop here. It could break above that 200 and push it up all the way to 88 before we get that pullback. But I'd love to see Tesla start setting up for this. And I think we're on a positive area. I'd like to see, probably about midday, come back, retest that 61, confirm we're going to get a rejection there and look for a pullback off of that level there on Tesla. Now, make sure that you are playing with the right mentality. Any type of short position needs to be strictly just a scalp at this point, because we are counter trend trading, trying to look for that because it's on more or less the trace. We hit it hard yesterday on the upside move. Now it's time to start looking for the topping zone of it coming into this. All right, guys, y'all need things, hit me up in the Discord. We'll be on the voice chat talking around there, and around noon Eastern time, we'll start doing charts and Q&A live through the events. Y'all guys have a great morning.